Is Matic at $1.21 still a good buy? We have seen quite a bit of a rally since June of this year, more than 250%. And this is, of course, partly also fueled by Facebook or Meta integrating with Polygon Matic for selling NFTs in its metaverse. Now in this video, we're going to look at relative valuation. So what you see over here is simply just the Polygon Matic chart in US dollars, or in tethers to be more precise. But what we actually want to look at is relative valuation to, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, and Phantom. And why particularly those kind of cryptocurrencies? Because they are more or less competitors for similar kind of capital, right? When we look at the top 100, you can either be in Bitcoin or Ethereum, or you can go down the rabbit hole, can go up in terms of risk, so lower in terms of the market cap, and then decide, do you want to deploy your money in, say, Polygon Matic, or do you think that maybe most DeFi adoption will happen within the Solana ecosystem or within Cardano, etc. So everybody makes their bets, and capital very often flows between those coins, right? Whatever is currently the flavor of the day. So attention moves from coin to coin, and thus when we are trading, we don't want to necessarily just look at the US dollar chart. What we're actually interested in is outperformance. Are we going over the long term? Are we going to make more than just holding Bitcoin, for example? Now let's look at exactly that. Let's first of all look at Polygon Matic measured in Bitcoin. And in the early days, there was a lot of confusion around Polygon Matic. So we did have these massive swings, these up and down swings. And especially during the crypto winter, Polygon Matic didn't do well, right? If you don't time this right, then you can underperform Bitcoin by 90%. But then we had our rally, mainly driven by NFT adoption. So OpenSea, the main NFT platform integrated with Matic. A lot of other DeFi protocols were deployed on Polygon Matic. Then we hit a peak in terms of relative valuation versus Bitcoin in May of last year. And since then, we are in somewhat of a sideways trading range. And it's quite interesting, right? In a prior video, you have probably seen me drawing this arrow over here. And that's why relative valuation and why technical analysis, I think, is very, very useful. You can't necessarily predict prices perfectly, and Matic could have also just turned around here again, right, and went down, but it didn't. It continued on its bullish rally, but still we can potentially see times of relatively low valuation and high valuation and act accordingly. And we don't have to 100% move in and out of coins, but we can at least shift the capital somewhat, right? And maybe sell on the way up gradually and then do the exact opposite on the way down and DCA in. Now, this chart here is useful because we're pretty much here now at an all-time high in terms of relative valuation, right? We have met this all-time high 3 times now. Now we are at the 4th point over here, which is not necessarily the most bullish thing. I'm not saying that we have to turn around here, but still it's worth noting. Maybe another similar situation we have seen in BNB actually. So let me show you BNB. And here we actually did continue our positive trend. Here, look at this. We were seeing an all-time high. We hit this. We hit it a second time, then almost a third time. And then we got this 4th time over here. But we were able to actually then break out. And this is then a very positive sign, right? Then we are now just on our merry way. Further up, of course, corrections here could always happen, but that's what we have to look out for, right? This is pretty much a point of decision here. Are we going to see another rally for BNB? This was 36% outperformance versus Bitcoin. For Matic, we don't know how much of an outperformance this would be, but the current situation is definitely critical. If we can't overcome this resistance, the potential downside in terms of relative valuation to Bitcoin, it is not small. It's 64%. Or if you even see those lows of June of this year could go down by like 70%. Now we don't just want to look at the relative valuation to Bitcoin. And the reason being is that Bitcoin is obviously the least risky of the cryptocurrencies and is not necessarily competing for the exact same capital. Bitcoin is simply just a place where you park your crypto money, where you simply just want to get crypto exposure. Maybe you mix this with stock investments and property investments, but you're not necessarily very speculative in your approach. This can be different once you compare this to ETH, BNB, Solana, etc. Now we're really going into the smart contract platforms that compete for the same kind of developers, for EVM compatible developers that build on Solidity, etc., except maybe for Solana and Cardano. But the rest is all EVM compatible over here. So let's look at Matic to Ethereum. And unfortunately, here the situation is also very similar. Look at this prediction here from a prior video. This pretty much played out perfectly as well. Not trying to pat myself here on the back, but it's simply just what was still saved here from prior videos. So I just noticed this as we go along. And yeah, also quiet critical time over here. It's not necessarily a cheap relative pricing point here. The question is always about risk versus reward. Nobody can predict the future perfectly, but if you did take this rally properly, then I'd rather take some chips off the table, and I'd also rather wait on what's currently happening here. Are we going to see maybe another 10% or so up from here relative to Ethereum, of course, not just in US dollars? If yes, then we might see the BNB move and simply just continue trending upwards. If not, and we get rejected here and we fall, say 10%, then a further decline is also not unlikely. So wherever we go in the next days and weeks might be the decision maker of where we might go in the next months. Now let's look at Matic relative to BNB, because BNB did do very, very well in the last weeks. And here we again have some kind of a sideways trading range. But what could happen here is an breakout similar to the relative variation to Bitcoin, right? This is 40% or 60%. So when we look at Bitcoin here, we had a similar slight downwards trend. Then we went sideways, broke that, and then went to the all-time high. This could also happen for the relative variation to BNB. So in other words, BNB is now quite expensive as well. So if you had to decide, would you rather hold BNB or Matic, just based on this TA, Matic doesn't look too bad, but both of them are expensive now. I rode the BNB wave quite a bit in the last weeks, and I reduced my exposure. I basically also shared this with the premium members over here, right? In case you're interested in that, it's thebitcoinstrategy.com. That's the link. Let's look at Matic to Solana. Now here we are not at an all-time high. The potential upwards move could bring us to 58 additional percent outperformance. But that's not necessarily because of Matic's great performance. That's actually because of Solana's very abysmal performance. When you look at Solana relative to, let's say, ETH, you see a constant underperformance, which even now gets accelerated with the FTX rumors. So there are rumors now that FTX might not be as solvent as people thought. I don't think that it will go bust, but there are quite a few battles going on. CZ is selling the FTT token, so that's basically what's underpinning the FTX exchange in a lot of its assets. That might put pressure on the solvency, and we do know that Solana has a very tight integration with FTX. Not as much as, say, Binance with the Binance Smart Chain, but still, for example, one of the main decentralized exchanges, Radium, it does have a direct integration with FTX. So when you're trading on Radium, you might actually get your order executed on FTX. A lot of people don't know this. So when FTX goes bust, then Solana might at least see a very, very dark time as well. It might not go completely black and shut down altogether, but it definitely will be a huge blow to the ecosystem. On top of that, you also have quite a bit of inflation of the Solana token, around 6% per annum, a bit more than that. And other tokens don't necessarily have that. This is Matic relative to ADA on an all-time high, but also mainly due to ADA's very weak technical development. So much less adoption than was hoped for. Quite a few scaling problems, but this video is not about Solana. This is about Matic. Let's also look at Matic relative to AVAX. The potential here is 70%. Now, I would not bet the house on Matic outperforming AVAX, and that's because AVAX in relative terms to its prior highs is very, very low. So the risk, which is like 17% versus the potential reward to the all-time high, which is like 660%, is pretty massive for AVAX. So even though the AVAX token is pretty inflationary, there's like more than 20% per annum of AVAX tokens being printed, the overall risk to reward for AVAX looks nice, meaning when people bet on a potential reversal, on a potential bull run in crypto, it's likely that AVAX will make more than average returns from this. So that's why, in terms of relative performance, I wouldn't bet the farm on Matic continuing to outperform AVAX. Last but not least, we also have got Matic versus Phantom. Phantom is, in my opinion, pretty much a dying ecosystem. Andre Cronje seems to come back, but still the current decentralized apps, when you look at DeFi Llama, they're all just a shadow of themselves. Tomb Finance imploded, etc. So not saying that Phantom will outperform Matic here, but again, this strength here is not just Matic. So what's the plan of action here? If you already gained from this current outperformance versus Bitcoin and Ethereum, I definitely take some chips off the table. The relative valuation is pretty high. If you're new to all of this and you're considering to buy Matic now, I'd probably also wait. I'd wait until we see some kind of a breakout. Another 10% outperformance, that would be something I would feel comfortable with potentially allocating more. If that outperformance does not come and we actually see a retracement of 10% and Matic actually underperforming ETH and Bitcoin, etc. in the next days, then this would definitely be rather an alarming signal, simply just from a technical analysis perspective. If you've got Telegram, feel free to search for Bitcoin Strategy channel. That's here on the bottom left. Feel free to search that and join our channel. You can ask me any questions there as well. A like on this video, of course, would be appreciated as well. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.